3 months ago, I was pondering the dry state of Roblox when I suddenly developed the urge to learn to make games myself. I had already had a bit of experience with Studio, which was mainly a little bit of building and complete dog shit animation. So with that in mind, I got to it. I started by watching 2 full playlists on scripting, a beginner and advanced one by the Dev King. I then watched another full playlist by BrawlDev. This entire process took about a week and a half. Now, with the basics down, I hopped into a base plate and decided to make some random skills. So I spent the next half a week making some janky as hell abilities. I mean, look at this.
Earth, please, lend me some of your energy. It's ready.
It's like a gorilla.
After this, I hit a wall. There were so many bugs and nothing I wanted to do would work. And everything was so complicated. With this, I had lost motivation and stopped developing for a while. Until one day, in one of the last weeks of the final semester of school, I decided to open Roblox Studio again and built a small map. Once I was done, I thought to myself, what if I actually turn this into a game? So I recalled my 2 weeks of scripting experience, the ability to search on the dev forum, and a little bit of ChatGPT, and started trying to learn to code what I wanted to make on the go. I started by making a part that when clicked, welded a sword to your hand with a Motor 6D for animation. After this, I searched up how to make ability cooldown GUIs, which with struggle I managed to integrate. I then started animating on Blender, which I realized might be a bit of a mistake in the future, but the E-ability animation turned out really nice. Then, I searched up a VFX tutorial on YouTube and followed along, making a nice slash that I could reuse later. Then, I just mashed all the components of the code together using an animation event to trigger the hitbox. However, there was one big problem. The ability system itself was super flawed. When you click the part, it would clone all the local scripts for the abilities inside the character, and put the UIs inside of the player GUI, which is a good approach. But the problem was that every piece of code for the abilities would play inside the clicked part, which is probably the worst possible way to organize the code. But, I mean, come on, I was still really new to this thing, so cut me some slack. After this, I made the ultimate ability, which basically followed the same process. I then made a simple lobby and coded a map rotation system, placed invisible parts inside each map to be called from a module to spawn the player. I found it difficult to structure this code and synchronize the spawns to the player across scripts, so I used ChatGPT to help. At this stage, I knew what I wanted the game to be. The concept is inspired by an old game called Sand Simulator. Getting past its name, it was a class-based fighting game with a surreal art style and strange Easter eggs, but it was discontinued due to the developer's account being deleted and them leaving the platform. I've actually made a video about this game way back, which is what you're seeing right now. In my game, it follows the same sort of gameplay, but there are secondary abilities you can fuse to any weapon and swap at any time. These will be called fusions. To honor this game, I implemented the 2 stats, souls and lemons, as the main form of progression. Souls are obtained by defeating others and exchanging lemons for them, and lemons are a currency that passively increases over time. I also put the kills stat in, so that you could keep track of your real kills. I decided that most weapons will be obtainable by souls and some by kills. Then, I realized that I needed to make an actual kill system so that the player who got the last hit would get the kill. So I asked the dev forum and made a module to be called inside all instances of hitboxes, which puts a tag on the hit player, and if they die with the tag, the
Boring, shut up, nerd.
I tried to make fusions more powerful than most regular abilities, but not as powerful as most ultimates. The system revolves around 3 components. A folder with all the stuff for the fusion to be placed in, which is inside replicated storage. Then, a module script that copies all the needed stuff and puts it into the character, which is called when the player spawns in with their weapon. And the actual way to equip the fusion is to 1. Have enough souls. 2. Click the button. 3. Okay, look, I know I'm yapping a ton right now, and the majority of the iPad kids are probably gone. But from here, I'll save your sanity and just not go into detail about the code. Then, I made a music system with songs for the lobby and arena. This was very hard.
So I used ChatGPT.
My friends, when testing the game, wanted there to be an option to mute the music, so I made sense of the scale properties of GUIs by watching a BrawlDev tutorial, and then made a GUI which... Wait, how the hell am I gonna mute the music from 2 different tracks? How do I How? So I use ChatGPT. I know what you're thinking. You're never gonna learn if you keep relying on ChatGPT to code. The thing is, I'm not just slapping on the code it spits out and calling it a day. I'm actually trying to learn from what it's saying. I can understand the syntax and remember it. At this stage, it had been 2 weeks since I started making the game, and I had learnt so much about development and scripting, even if a portion of that was taught by AI. And yes, I always check the dev forum about my questions first, and I understand that AI should only sometimes be used as a tool to learn from, but not take everything it says as gospel. After this, I made another GUI next to that one to do something with later. But for now, it just plays a random sound effect. I know, it's the state-of-the-art invention. It's really something else, you know, it's something crazy. Then, I realized that there had to be M1s, and the whole using a single part to run all the code in for each weapon was a bit stupid of me. So I reworked the whole system into tools with a much more stable layout. I learned raycast hitbox for M1s and implemented it back into the game. I sort of forgot to explain the process of making the first fusion, but you already know how they function, so I'll just skip over that. Just like I'm about to skip over the second weapon so I can keep working on the game. Kidding. The second weapon is a katana with 2 flash step moves. I know that edit made me look really good at scripting, but unfortunately, up until now the only things I've been coding are combat related systems held together by glue and 50% open sourced VFX, which is probably why I shouldn't have gone for such a big project when I started from basically zero experience. From this you could probably tell how things went when I tried to comprehend the code of a donation board with a leaderboard and podiums. What the Since trying to customize a donation board to function without the in-your-face podiums was too hard, I just made my own. I placed it outside of the main lobby building and I'll probably move it to a more remote location later. Sorry, but there's no leaderboard for now, or probably ever will be unless I actually get good. If you're an experienced scripter watching this video, shoot me a DM on Discord. I'd really value your advice. Anyway, after that I made an entirely new Game Pass fusion. It's quite powerful, but I tried my best to balance it. I might also make a Game Pass weapon later. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention a lot earlier that the game is open to play at the time of releasing this video. Firstly, I wanted to recreate the dialogue system as seen in ZZ's Battlegrounds, because there was no way I was going to use that trash default dialogue system. As you could probably guess by my inexperience with using GUIs, trying to recreate the GUI's parent hierarchy and the way it scaled was painful. Like, I kid you not, I didn't even know what a UI list layout was. Anyway, through constantly moving around my window, as well as trial and error, I eventually got it right. Then came the functionality. This wasn't too hard because you could just use tables to give each dialogue its corresponding choices. Then came the last few changes, which included having to change the text locally so that I could put a sound effect with the typewriting effect. With this, there was just a bit more struggle and a few finishing touches and I had done it. It'd take a while to say all the minuscule things I did next, so here's a list. And yeah, I've come really far in the few months of developing this game. Though as I said before, it was probably a bad idea to gain all my experience from a single project. So now I'll be working on my skills and maybe updating the game if it's received well. Thanks so much for sticking to the end. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to see more of this type of content from me, or want to see some devlog videos, let me know in the comments. Anyway, I'm off to wait for some